All right, let's go.
604 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings and Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf back in studio. Wait, why am I not in studio? Well, that's because I'm downtown. Well, I'm always downtown. But I'm at the Capitol Hilton because it is time for this year's Solution Summit 2025. The Pelican Institute for Public Policy is presenting this year's Solution Summit, as they do every year. Our Louisiana comeback is what's written on the cover of the little booklet here. It says the next chapter, and there is a yellow brick road leading to downtown Baton Rouge. So I'm sure more about that will be unveiled as the show wears on this morning. Always looking forward to the Solutions Summit. You know, I've talked about this. Oh, by the way, 66 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge to start off your Tuesday morning. We talked about this a good bit throughout the year. As we ramp up towards April 14th, which is the beginning of the legislative session, there's three main dates that are on my calendar that I look forward to unbelievably so, and I should probably add a fourth one to that list. Those three dates are Washington Mardi Gras, Lobby's annual meeting, and today, the Pelican Institute's Solution Summit. I should probably add PAR's annual conference to that mix as well, because there is no shortage of fantastic information coming out there as well. But the way I look at it is, if I want to be ready, and I mean ready for the legislative session, if I want to know what's going on, and what's going to be hot, what's going to move forward, what's going to eventually fall short at the polls, all of it. The Solution Summit is a big part of that, as is Lobby's annual meeting, and, of course, Washington Mardi Gras, where you get all the talk behind the scenes as well. So we've got a big show lined up for you this morning. We got a number of guests coming on. We're going to talk with Melissa Landry about energy. We're going to talk with Daniel Earspalmer, head of the Pelican Institute. That's where we'll get the rundown on all the details inside today's meetings. Grover Norquist is going to join us, probably going to talk taxes right there. We've got Sarah Harbison from the Pelican Institute hopping on in the 7 o'clock hour. In the 8 o'clock hour from Louisiana's Workforce Commission, we got Susie Schoen coming on at 8:15, and we're going to wrap up our guest list with State Senator Blake Miguez at 8:35. So we are loaded for bear. We are ready to roll. We got a lot coming your way over the course of the next 3 hours, so let's dive right in. Top stories and trending.
Number 5.
The Louisiana State Police announced yesterday that they have intensified their efforts to address violent and organized crime in Baton Rouge. The notification comes less than a week after Governor Jeff Landry's State of the State address, where he said he wanted to replicate what's been done in New Orleans with Troop NOLA, wants to bring that up here to Baton Rouge. In fact, I remember he said that last Wednesday over at the Rotary Club.
Number 4.
The trial of a man accused of sexually abusing 3 of his foster children will begin today. Michael Haddon, now 54 years old, has been sitting in jail for nearly 3 years awaiting trial. Haddon's trial has already been pushed back 3 times for various reasons, including the defendant's own medical issues.
Number 3.
2 oil tanks went up in a massive blaze yesterday morning after one was likely struck by lightning during yesterday's severe weather. The fire happened on Reliable Lane off of US 190. Point Capiche Sheriff's Office said the oil tanks were likely struck by lightning. That's what started the fire. The blaze burned for more than 3 hours before it was finally extinguished.
Number 2.
A new report from the Baton Rouge Metro Chamber states that the metro area's population has reached 880,000 people. This, by the way, is a new record. We're going to have a lot more on this when we get a chance to talk to Brack in more detail to break down the full report.
Number 1.
Looking like while we might be done with the rain, the wind is not over with yet. Grabbing this from our news partners at WBRZ. Across the capital area, several inches of rain over the weekend and yesterday triggered flooding and some road closures. Most of this is a result of saturated soil and high winds causing trees to fall. During the spring and warmer seasons, this is a quote, we typically see storm systems with heavier downpours. Emma Kate Cowan said this, and we get 1 to 3 inches of rain in a very short amount of time. Cowan went on to say the heavy rain and wind over 30 miles per hour can have significant effects, especially when it comes to trees falling. So probably saw a lot of those yesterday, the super saturated ground causing those trees to fall. With more rain and wind on the way, Cowan warns that gusty winds can topple trees and power lines quite easily.
Hey, Brian. Good morning.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Nice and cozy in the studio. How is it out there?
It's pretty awesome out here. I know there's nobody else there yet. I mean, there's like one person starting to set up things up. It'll be about an hour and a half from right now when well, maybe even a little less than that, when folks start trickling their way in here and you start to see some action happening behind me with registration opening up. And I mean, once the halls get bustling, the halls get bustling. And it's just super duper looking forward to it. I will say this, John. You did notice, I hope you noticed, that because this live broadcast is downtown, I was able to stop in at the station before coming down here. And so coffee was made. You didn't have to make coffee. Even though
I appreciate
I'm
that.
not in studio, but I still got it done for you.
Still taking care of it.
Yep.
Still taking care of business. My man. Hey, as far as trending stories go, though, Elon Musk revealed last week that he plans to step down from his role as a special government employee by the end of May.
You know,
so there's that
story right there, huh?
Right.
I know we were all caught up in our election. We were all caught up in the 4 constitutional amendments and everything going on in St. George and whatnot. And I know while that was going on here locally, we may have missed it, sure. You know, I had we got a lot going on. LSU women were playing basketball. Baseball was looking good. Softball, well, at least heading into the weekend, was looking good. And we had all the weather problems as well. So I'm just trying to be fair. Maybe we missed it. Maybe we missed it. But I feel like it's just a feeling. I don't have anything empirical here. I don't have Google searches and data and everything to back it up. But I feel like nobody's reporting on this story because it doesn't feed a certain narrative.
Yeah, I think the same. And it's important to note also, I mean, this position he has is temporary. Right?
Yes,
really, he's only supposed to work like 130 days out of the 365.
Right,
so,
but remember, if he plans to take over the world, if he plans to infiltrate the U.S. government, if he plans to be the evil villain from a Marvel movie that we're expecting him to be, how can you take over the world and resign at the same time?
Oh, man.
Right?
Hey, speaking of resignations here, Senator John Fetterman is facing a mounting pressure to resign. His crime, though, agreeing with parts of Donald Trump's agenda and working on pieces of bipartisan legislation. So,
all right. So let's rewind the clock on this one. Back to when John Fetterman was first elected. Man, it was so unfair to John Fetterman to be pushed out there. He was going up against Dr. Oz, if I'm not mistaken. But to be pushed out there immediately after having a stroke. And I was embarrassed for him because they're putting microphones in front of his face. He's always on camera. And like the man literally could not get through a sentence because he was going through his recovery. Well, as time has worn on, he has proven to be an absolute statesman. He's a statesman in a hoodie. And I know he doesn't dress the part of a senator. He's more the Bill Belichick of the Senate for sure. But I'm talking the way he dresses, not his win record. But like he listens to people. He takes the good out of what others have to say. He runs with what's said and not who said it. He's proven to be, and I know he's still a Democrat. I'm probably not going to agree with him 80% of the time. Right. But I will say he's one of those ones who's willing to have a conversation. And it's a shame, an absolute shame that he's getting this much pressure to run out.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Brian, that weather yesterday was pretty nasty, man. The National Weather Service has confirmed that yesterday's storms produced at least 2 tornadoes in Louisiana, one in Livingston Parish and another in St. Landry Parish.
Not surprising. The one in Livingston Parish, did you get to look that one up, John? Because I know I saw something about an EF0, and I didn't know that was a thing.
EF0.
EF0.
Okay, that's different.
1.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done the background on it. I was prepping for the summit today, so I didn't get a whole lot in on that front. But yeah, I saw an EF0. I don't know what the background is on that.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. It's a tornado that reaches 75 miles per hour, but I guess less than the less than a 1. Yeah. So
it turned the homework in, but you could tell that it really didn't do any work.
Right. It was enough to cause damage.
Got knocked down, and that's very insensitive.
It's unfortunate.
On my part.
Yeah, but still, it's less than a 1. But I would think, I'm gonna do further research in this.
It's less
Yeah.
than 1, but you still don't mess around with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Enough to kind of wreck the
All
place
right.
up a little bit.
All right, it's enough to call it a tornado, but just barely.
Yes.
We are at we're at 6:14. We're running super long. 6:14 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We're going to break here in just a second. However, before we take that break, I do need to remind you, Talk 107.3 and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their family. The following local businesses have also pledged to match your donations throughout the month. Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and Action Industries Plus, Subaru of Baton Rouge, Service Chevrolet, Luba, and Duplessis Pool Builders. Visit talk1073.com to reach our goal, and together we can help make dreams come true. 6:15 at Talk 107.3 FM. Quick break. We will come back talking sports next.
All right. You're clear.
Do what?
You're clear.
Okay. Good morning, Facebook. How's everyone doing this morning? How's the crew rolling today? It looks like we're off and running. I need to know. Like, holler at me, you know? How's things? How's things? This is going to be one of those days where I have enough caffeine in me to kill a horse. Yeah. They've got like really loud lobby music going on in here right now. It's distracting, but I don't want to ask them to turn it down on my account.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So is it just loud, like elevator music?
Yeah, it's just like really loud, like lobby music. It's just so.
Yeah.
If it's showing up on here, let me know and I'll say something. Otherwise, I'll deal with it. Hang tight 1 second. No, I have an insane amount of Red Bull. So. Yeah. Same. Oh. You got 20 minutes. You're good. Yeah, or 15. No, 20 minutes. We're good. So, yeah. All set. Thanks. There's a pretty significant echo when I talk. Are you hearing that, John?
Let me double check. You want to just give me like a test? Just to
Give me a 1, 2, 3 right there. Yep. Hello. Am I echoing? Are you hearing it through the? Because Facebook says they're hearing an echo.
Okay, it's a little bit of a delay, but I'm just getting enough.
No, How much time do we have?
Yeah, you don't have an echo on my end, but no, I just hit the bumper music. All right, you ready?
You hit the bumper music?
Yeah.
All right. Tell me when.
All right, let's go.
Oh, we're at 6:19 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We got to move quickly here. Quick updates on tonight's schedule. Baseball hosting Louisiana Tech, 6:30 p.m. in the box. 6:30 p.m. is your first pitch. Pre-game will begin at 6 o'clock on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Meanwhile, right here on Talk 107.3 FM, 6 p.m. is your first pitch. 5:45 is your pregame as LSU softball will be will be in Lake Charles at McNeese tonight.
30.
So softball here on Talk 107.3, baseball over on Eagle 98.1. And, in the world of college basketball, women's college basketball, Texas advances last night. They beat Haley Van Lith and TCU 58-47. And what a show
15.
Paige Becker's put on as UConn tops Southern Cal 78-64 to round out the Final Four. It's 6:20 at Talk 107.3. Here comes the Fox Business Report.
Yeah, sorry about that. Dang. Yeah, we did run long that first segment.
Yep. All right. Let me find this echo problem. How about now? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I don't know.
Something is not right. Okay, I hear it too. Hang on.
Yeah, I can hear it. It's a slight echo for sure, but what's that? Is that the background? That background noise? That
What am I being told over here?
kind of that buzzing.
All right, give us another 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Hang on, John. I don't even have the headset on, so I'm only going to hear you through Facebook.
Oh, okay. As far as what's coming through my ears, you're fine. But yeah, as far as the Facebook,
you know what the echo is? When
that?
you're up and I'm up, they hear me through you too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no way. We're just going to deal with that. Just leave yourself down during the segments when you're not, or leave yourself out of that rollback when it's not when you're not on.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't even have my mic on, so I don't know how I would avoid
because,
that.
Okay, you see under programs 1, 2, 3, and 4, that next button down after 4.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Just take myself out of there when I'm not.
Yeah. What's that button labeled again?
Well, it's just program 4 and then
after
offline.
4, below 4, there's another button.
Offline.
If you're in offline, you're going to feed back to me every time. You're supposed to be in offline for me to hear you. Like
right.
the things that are in offline are the things that I hear. Like if you have the countdown of 1, 2, 3,
right.
4, 5 for the top stories, 5, 4, 3, that needs to be in offline for me to hear it. But the spots don't need to be in offline because I don't need to hear it.
Right.
So if you're in offline, it's going to roll back. And when it rolls back to me, it rolls back to Facebook. So if you're hearing me and then it rolls back through offline, I think that's where Facebook's getting their echo from. I think.
Yeah. So I'll just try it and I'll only go.
You just going offline when you're talking.
Yep.
What's that all about?
All right, Brian, we're about to roll into traffic.
Traffic, okay.
All right, ready.
Heading back to the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center, what we've got going on this morning. Nothing unusual this morning, really. On your interstates, I-12 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish, you're going to find some you're going to find delays, not just your normal volume, but some delays around the Range Avenue exit It's getting stacked up quickly this morning, a little bit quicker than normal. After that, though, things pick back up on 12 westbound coming into Baton Rouge. You should be good after you're clear of the exit. By the time you get to the Amy River, it should be smooth sailing. Now, over on 10 westbound, we're looking great there. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish, also great. I-110 looking good in both directions, and both bridges are wide open. Surface streets, we've got one accident to look out for. There is an accident in the roadway right now. That would be Florida at South Flannery. We got an accident that's being worked by BRPD at this time. It was reported about a little less than 15 minutes ago. So that is definitely still going to be in the working stages. That's your look at traffic from the Chabos Tire Traffic Center. It's 6:25 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Before we get into the rundown for today's Solution Summit, and we just kind of flip through the booklet and find out what we like, got to remind you about the folks over at P.F. Chang's. Oh, okay. So I believe it was week before last I got to swing by P.F. Chang's just to grab lunch, like not to sit down and enjoy the fantastic service, not to sit down and enjoy that upscale ambiance and the wonderful restaurant that they have to offer. I had to grab some to go. And I got the chicken lettuce wraps because I wanted to be healthy. And I got to tell you, what a score. My wife always goes to the chicken lettuce wraps, and I always usually go for Mongolian beef, but I've been sold on the sesame beef lately because it's phenomenal. Went with the chicken lettuce wraps. It's a lighter fare. Did not weigh me down for the rest of the day. Grabbed it on the go. To go is a fantastic option if you don't have time to sit down and eat. They've got you covered over at P.F. Chang's. And don't forget, Chang's Cash is available. Earn rewards every time you're over there with the Chang's Rewards program. Earn yourself some Chang's Cash. You know where to find them. They're in Town Center off of Corporate Boulevard. Look for the giant golden horse. All right. It is Solution Summit Day. One of my favorite days of the calendar year. One of the days that gets us ready for the upcoming legislative session. One of the days where you start to run down and say, okay, what are we really focusing in on when it comes to the upcoming session? And coming up at 6:52, we're going to have Daniel Erspamer on with us. He heads up he's the CEO of the Pelican Institute for Public Policy. He's going to kick things off at 9 o'clock with Doge and Beyond, a pro-growth fiscal vision for Louisiana. Looking forward to hearing about this, as this tends to be, or this seems to be, what is hot on all levels of government right now. After years and years and years of government expansion, years and years and years of this program, that program being headed on, years and years and years of things that we quote-unquote need when we really just want them, we are looking at on all levels of government right now a real push to scale back and say what we've been doing is not sustainable. Take a look at what Mayor President Sid Edwards is doing right now on a local level. I mean, he's tasked with how many things over the last 30 to 40 years in Baton Rouge have we signed up for without knowing how to pay for it long term. And if you look at your property taxes, which now's about a good time to do that, right? If you look at your property taxes and it looks like a CVS receipt with the number of millages we have, it just goes on and on and on. And I don't know about you, I'm a little bit tired of it. So, and I don't want to say we're going to get rid of everything. And it's the same thing with Doge on a federal level. But on federal, state, local level, this is what's hot right now, is taking a good look at all of it and saying, what do we actually need? Coming up at 10 o'clock. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me stick with this. In the 9 o'clock hour, Grover Norquist, he's the president of Americans for Tax Reform. He's going to speak as part of that Doge and Beyond address at 9. 10 o'clock, you're going to have From Dependence to Flourishing, one door to better serve people. Donica Duggan, CEO of the Baton Rouge Alliance for Students. Mason Bishop, he's with the American Enterprise Institute. Ali Rao, Deputy Secretary for the Department of Children and Family Services, and Susie Schoen, the Secretary for Louisiana's Workforce Commission, are all going to be in on this talk on the one door, which, by the way, 8:15 this morning, we're going to have Susie on to talk about what one door is and how it's going to better serve Louisiana. Skipping ahead a little bit because I want to make sure I touch on this specifically, is on the main stage for lunch and the keynote, if you will, Pelican Pulse polling release, a school that fits for every child. So it looks like education is back on the forefront again, as it should be. With the strides that we've made in this state over the last couple of years with what Dr. Cade Brumley's doing, which, by the way, Dr. Brumley is on with us, I believe, tomorrow at 8:15. It might be Thursday at 8:15. I got to go back and look that up. But with the number of strides that Louisiana has taken in the last year, 2 years or so, taking your foot off the gas right now would be a horrible mistake. So certainly looking forward to Pelican Pulse polling release, a school that fits every child. There will be a major new initiative of the Pelican Institute that will be announced at the Pulse of Louisiana. And for the school that fits every child part of this, we're definitely looking forward to that. Then there's breakout sessions throughout the day. As we get through the show this morning, we'll dive into a couple of those breakouts as well as we get to some of our guests as the show wears on. All right, I'm looking at the clock. I can't break down any further. I can't tease up any of the rundown as of right now because we're coming up on news,
15.
traffic, and weather. When we come back from news, we're going to talk energy a little bit. Melissa Landry is going to join me. She has the benefit of being the first guest when I'm all scattered in the morning. So
5.
Melissa Landry joins us next on Talk 107.3.
All right, you're clear. Hey, Brian.
How we looking, John?
I was just calling for you. Do you want to tease the weather or just go into it?
No. When I'm on location, it goes straight to weather.
Got you. Well, we're about to hit it in about 15, 20 seconds.
Weather in 15 seconds? Okay.
Yep.
Is it the wrong side?
It doesn't matter. It's whichever side you want.
Does it look like it's in the right spot?
You sound great. Okay. And we're, like I said, we're always on Facebook. So now you got volume too. So
I don't hear you here.
yep. How about now? Now do you hear me?
Now I do.
Awesome.
Nothing like doing an interview at
6:30 in the morning.
6:35 in the morning.
Did the echo go away, y'all? I thought I fixed the echo. I thought I'd properly diagnosed that, but it's possible that I did not because, like Melissa said, it's 6:30 in the morning.
Try real hard not to breathe all over the microphone.
Don't sweat it at all. It's always fun because the way we set up here is so that we have everything kind of in the background.
Yeah.
And then like an hour from right now, like it's going to be blown up.
Madness back there. Yeah.
Yep.
I love it.
Okay. Thank you, Chandler, for letting me know the echo was gone. Oh, there we go. Gail and Renee as well. Cool. And the other thing is with the Facebook, I always worry because that number always feels real low. It's like, are there really only 11 people watching? Oh. It's super low because as soon as the show's over with, I'll go pull up the number of views. And I'll be like, okay, if there were like 11, 12 people watching, why are there 1,500 views already? So,
yeah.
All right, Brian, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's roll.
637 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We are holding at 66 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. We are, nope. I stand corrected. We dropped down to 64. All right. We are live on location at the Capitol Hilton because this morning and all day long is the Pelican Institute for Public Policy's Solutions Summit 2025. And there will be a lot going on throughout the day today. Now, I need to start off this segment by saying I misread what was coming up at lunchtime today. Because when you read through the booklet about what's coming up at lunch, it says Pelican Pulse polling release and a school that fits every child. And as I was reading these, I thought these two things were tied in together. But when you break down what's going to be going on at lunch, there's the Pulse of Louisiana with a special announcement. I thought that was going to be education related. But I stand corrected. Here with us now is the new VP of Strategy for the Pelican Institute, Melissa Landry. How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm very happy to be here.
Have you ever been on the show before? Like years ago, right?
Never at 6:35.
For sure.
I'll bring a Red Bull next time.
Right? Well, yeah, I drink way too much Red Bull. It's dangerous. Big announcement coming up today. How much can we reveal right now?
Yeah, well, we're really excited, so I'm happy to share it with you and the listeners and viewers. I mean, huge day here at the Pelican Solutions Summit. This is Pelican's 6th year holding a Solutions Summit in person, 7th year if we count the virtual summit that we hosted during COVID. But, over the last 7 years of work, I mean, Pelican has done just a tremendous amount of reform, really,
yes,
in moving the state forward. And very, very excited to be a part of the next chapter of that, building upon Pelican's tremendous work in the energy sector.
Okay.
We'll be really bringing all of that existing work and then building off of it to really bring it even further into the future, is this new initiative we're announcing today called the Pelican Center for Energy. The Pelican Center for Energy. Now, when I was talking in the last segment about keeping a focus on education, Pelican really took an interest in education and has moved the needle greatly. They're not taking their foot off that gas pedal at all, which is why you've been added so that they can keep their focus on that. But as they broaden out, taking on new chapters, I mean, we talk about regulation, we talk about insurance reform, we talk about tort reform, we talk about education. Now moving over to energy, this is a whole new world for Pelican to really have an added focus on without losing anything else at all. So what's the focus going to look like here? What is the Center for Energy going to look like? Yeah, it's really Louisiana is at a very pivotal moment in time in terms of both our economic and our energy future. Obviously, with President Trump in the White House and a brand new direction in Washington, particularly as it relates to his vision for American energy dominance. Louisiana has a very long and proud history of energy production, and we're a huge part of really America's energy security. But there's a tremendous amount of untapped potential as well. Really, years and years of poor public policy, quite frankly, are holding Louisiana back from really fully realizing our potential, particularly in the energy sector. So the Pelican Center for Energy is really going to focus on bringing forward free market ideas and solutions to help remove barriers to development, really drive innovation and investments in the energy industry, so that Louisiana can realize its full potential to be one of the most energy dominant states in the country over the next 10 years.
Okay, we've got a lot to unpack and only 5 minutes to do it, so let's do our best here. By the way, we're talking with Melissa Landry, the new VP of Strategy for the Pelican Institute, as they're going to be announcing at lunch today the new Center for Energy. You mentioned we have a long and proud history, and you mentioned untapped potential. That long and proud history is predominantly oil and gas. Untapped potential, does that follow under oil and gas as well, or are we talking about an all-of-the-above type of strategy here to meet the future?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons why Louisiana is really uniquely positioned to play a really significant role in the future of energy. Building upon our legacy, of our long and proud legacy and history with traditional oil and gas production. We also have a number of emerging, new emerging energy technologies here in the state, and it's all a part of a very comprehensive, diverse, all of the above energy strategy. And honestly, it is going to take all hands on deck in order to meet the unprecedented demand for energy that there is, that's being projected for America and really around the world over the next 10 years.
All right, let's talk about demand for a quick second, because what we've seen recently, and I know these is just anecdotal, right? But with the Meta data center announcement and the other data center over there in West Feliciana Parish, what we're seeing there is there's going to be a specific demand on a very specific locale to just give them power. And this is, while that's anecdotal, it's also emblematic of what's going to be going on nationwide and worldwide. How do we meet demand?
Yeah. Really, after decades of really relatively static growth, the demand for energy across America and here at home is projected to just increase dramatically over the next decade. A very recent report from S&P Global estimated between 2024 and 2040, demand for American energy will grow by 35 to 50%. The folks over at the LSU who put together the Gulf Coast Economic Outlook attribute that not only to major industrial projects like data centers, but really it's a diverse set of factors. Certainly the industrial renaissance that we're enjoying here in Louisiana is part of that. But also significant investments in new energy technologies like EVs and solar panels, and really the electrification. It's so early.
No, it's all good.
Of transportation and really buildings over the long term. So those factors together are really driving that dramatic increase in demand. And yeah, the way that we meet it is with free market policies and solutions that really expand that bring new energy technologies online and increase and really we need a whole bunch of we need all hands on deck in order to meet that demand.
Where are we at with the and I don't know how far along the path we are with the usage part of carbon usage and sequestration, but how is that going to play into your new role in the new Center for Energy?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, energy, emissions reduction technologies are a huge part of the equation as well.
and can you imagine if Donald Trump gets halfway down the road that he wants to get to with manufacturing, all those factories are going to be coming online right here in America as well. Like that's just more stuff to plug in, Melissa.
Well, what the president is doing to reshore manufacturing right here in America is not only great for the creation of jobs and opportunity and really
1 minute.
economic prosperity for all Americans, but it is a critical part of ensuring America's security.
Yes.
And really being able to produce and provide the energy that is required to support all of that manufacturing is critically important. And we truly have an incredible opportunity here in Louisiana to help achieve that.
All right, more on that coming up at lunchtime today when they make the formal announcement
30.
about the Pelican Center for Energy. In the meanwhile, Melissa, thank you for a couple minutes this morning. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. We're at 646, coming up on 647 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Don't forget, Dreams Come True Radiothon opens up today. You can make your donation now at talk1073.com.
10.
Talk 107.3 and the Baton Rouge Clinic are bringing you the 2025 Dreams Come True
5.
Radiothon. You know, we look forward to this partnership every year. This year is no different. We'll tell you more about it as the show wears on. Right now, we'll take a quick break, check traffic, check your money now. Daniel Earthbomber's up next.
All right, Brian, you clear.
All right, we up, John? By the way, I don't even know if she's still listening anymore. She's probably off at the morning circus. But good morning, Christy, if you're still tuned in.
Yeah, I just hit the bumper. So
Cool.
All right, let's roll.
6:52 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane. Rolling right along. All right, time to get the full rundown for the day. The Pelican Institute for Public Policy presents 2025 Solutions Summit, Our Louisiana Comeback, the next chapter. CEO of the Pelican Institute, Daniel Ersbaumer, joining me right now. Daniel, I've already stolen a pen. How are you?
Excellent. Well, great. Have another.
And look at this. Watch this. I know on the radio they're not going to know anything about this, but
Look at that.
Last year's pen is still in effect.
You're going to have a collection.
So, yeah. I think I do, actually. All right. 2025 Solutions Summit.
Yeah.
The next chapter, what's it all about?
Yeah, this has been quite a year. We've been talking, you and I have been talking for years about all of the different things that we need to do to try to write that comeback story for Louisiana. Yes. And we feel like a lot of that was written this last year, but the reality is there's more to do. There's a lot more to do. And so the next chapter really is about, okay, what's next? Let's go. Let's not sit on our laurels. We have an opportunity to really push forward.
What sets that agenda? Because, there's still a lot of the same problems we're still facing, insurance being one of the big ones. There's a lot of problems we're seeing headway on, but we can still go further, talking about regulation and whatnot. There are things like education where we're seeing just ridiculous advancements moving up the charts left and right. And then what we just talked about with Melissa in our last segment there is, I don't know have y'all taken on that world in particular before?
Only in small doses. We've done some. We've worked on the issues around the coastal lawsuits, some of the legal reform that play into the energy industry. But this will be a new chapter for us as well, and really getting deeper into how do we create a free market vision for energy policy.
Well, and the reason for it is, and I love it because you're out in front. You're out in front on this one because what Melissa was talking about in the last segment, demand on energy is going to be through the roof over the next 5-10 years.
Absolutely.
So we need to know we already know how to do it better, cleaner, more efficient than anybody else in the world.
Yep.
So what do we need to do to make sure we maintain that advantage from start to finish? So it's I'm loving it. I'm loving where we're out there.
Yeah.
What are a few of the highlights for today that you're looking forward to?
So we're going to start. This will be really interesting, especially in the wake of this weekend. We're kicking off with a conversation about where do we go on fiscal reform? What's next, and what does a good end state look like? Saturday hurt. It did. There's no sugarcoating that one.
No. No, it's like, and I know better than to get emotionally involved. Like, I know what I like, what I don't like, what I want to be, in favor of.
Yep.
But I put my emotions in this one, man.
Boy, I did too. And here's the thing though. This is not the end. We owe it to our kids and grandkids and friends and neighbors who've had to leave the state to find better opportunity.
Yeah.
To keep pushing down this path and find the right solution that we can really get over the finish line. And it's also important to remember, it doesn't erase most of the gains from the November tax session. This is obviously really important. We got to get back to the constitutional conversation and everything else. But we still have some pretty big wins to celebrate in terms of tax reform.
We do. But it's okay. Can we use LSU women's basketball as an example?
Yeah.
Okay, the Elite Eight is a good run, but you wanted more.
Yeah.
That's the same as Amendment 2 to me. It's like, we got a lot done in the tax reform session. That's great. I wanted more. And what was in that bill, what was there, was ours for the taking.
Yep.
And I don't know how so much misinformation got out there so quickly that people got scared.
Yeah. Big change is hard, and the opposition was very effective at creating confusion, and that's the death knell for a ballot measure. So we've got to do better. We've got to come back, figure out the right path, and just get way out ahead of how do we tell the story better.
Yeah. Well, and all right, 30 more seconds on my frustration with it, then we'll move on. Is like, our Constitution was written it was enacted in 1974.
Correct.
And the writers of that Constitution were lawmakers for the years that followed, right? We have a distrust in government based off of, in large part, that group of people.
Yep.
A lot of them have served time.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why, when you have the possibility to undo a lot of the fiscal garbage that they've built out, a lot of the pork, a lot of the personal carvings, a lot of what built our distrust in government, we had the chance to kick down the door on that distrust on Constitutional Amendment 2, and we decided to retreat within the distrust that we know.
That's right. We did. Chose, I think actually it was Cameron Henry who said once, I was talking to him, he said, everybody wants change as long as everything stays the same. And that's kind of where we are right now. So we got our work cut out for us.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's talk about the next chapter. There's a reason this isn't called Solution Summit. Why we can't have nice things.
That's right.
It's the next chapter.
2 minutes.
Why is there a yellow brick road here?
Well, this is we've been having some fun. Of course, this is April Fool's Day, and the success of Wicked, so we're trying to tie in some fun here. But one of the things we're going to be talking about is this idea of fool's gold. That we've got all this federal money that flows in and inflates things, and so our closing reception this evening is the fool's gold reception. So we're gonna have a little fun with it, and so we're gonna follow that yellow brick road here to Oz, which is skyline mix of New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and maybe some Shreveport in there somewhere. And so yeah,
there is Shreveport in there. Look at that! Hey.
So this is the for lack of a better word, or to crib our friend Ronald Reagan, the shining city on the hill that we could have here in Louisiana.
Very awesome. All right, so we know about the energy announcement that's coming up.
Yep.
We got 1 minute to go till news. Give me one other nugget that you're really looking forward to.
Yeah, we're going to release the results of a hot off the press, yesterday, poll that looks at a lot of the issues that we're going to talk about on the summit. And you know what, Brian? You're going to be surprised on a few of them. They are overwhelmingly positive toward, and not to harken back to Amendment 2, but toward the ideas we talked about there. And some really interesting numbers related to Jeff Landry and Donald Trump and the legislature, and some very, very broad bipartisan support on legal reform. That
Okay.
would be fascinating to dive into.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I'm
Hopefully
in.
I'm here for it. It's not coming up until lunch today.
That's right.
He is Daniel Erspanner, CEO of the Pelican Institute. Man, I appreciate you stopping by for a couple minutes. Big day today.
Big
I
day.
look forward to this one.
I know it. I'm so glad you're here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We got news, traffic, weather coming up. Hour 2 is on the way next. Don't forget, in Hour 2, we're going to talk with Grover Norquist, and we're going to talk Sarah Harbison. Right now, here comes ABC.
All right, clear.
All right, Facebook. How we doing? Been negligent this morning, as I often am when I'm on location, and that's my fault entirely. Actually, it's not. It's the nature of the gig. I have to get up during breaks and whatnot. Oh, wow. All right. How we doing, John?
We're in weather.
Okay. This is too much.
All right, just hit the 7 a.m. open.
Okay. Just tell me when to go.
All right, let's go.
705 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf back in studio. We've dipped down to 64 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. I say John's back in studio. That's because I am out at the Capitol Hilton for the 2025 Pelican Institute for Public Policy's Solutions Summit. Louisiana's next chapter. It's our Louisiana comeback, the next chapter. We had Daniel Ersbeimer on in our last segment talking about it a little bit. We had Melissa Landry talking about a big announcement that's coming up at lunchtime today. This hour, we're going to shift our focus to tax reform. Grover Norquist is going to join us in our next segment. And we're also going to talk a little bit about regulation with Sarah Harbison. That's coming up at 7:35. But before we get to any of it, we roll with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Louisiana State Police announced yesterday that they have intensified their efforts to, quote, address violent and organized crime in Baton Rouge. This notification comes less than a week after Governor Jeff Landry's State of the State address, where he said he wanted to replicate what's been done in New Orleans with Troop NOLA right here in Baton Rouge. In fact, last Wednesday, the governor made mention of this when he addressed the Rotary Club of Baton Rouge.
Number 4.
The trial of a man accused of sexually abusing 3 of his foster children will begin today. 54-year-old Michael Haddon's been sitting in jail for nearly 3 years awaiting trial. Haddon's trial has already been pushed back 3 times for various reasons, including the defendant's medical issues.
Number 3.
2 oil tanks went up in a massive blaze yesterday morning after one was likely struck by lightning during severe weather. Fire happened on Reliable Lane off Highway 190. Point Capee Parish Sheriff's Office said the oil tanks were likely struck by lightning. That's what started the whole fire. The blaze burned for more than 3 hours before it was extinguished.
Number 2.
A new report from the Baton Rouge Metro Chamber from BRAC states that the metro area's population has now reached 880,000 folks. That, by the way, is a new record. Look forward to breaking that down with BRAC the next time we have them on.
Number 1.
We mentioned the other day, John mentioned the other day in the trending stories that Guy Fieri was coming to town for diners, drive-ins, and dives, was going to Phil's Oyster Bar. Well, turns out Phil's is not the only place that Guy is stopping. Looks like he'll also be making stops at Dempsey's and Iverstein Farms.
Hey, Brian. Good
What's
morning.
happening? Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing all right.
Yeah, it looks nice out there.
Yeah, we got some movement starting in the background, or at least that's what I hear in my outside
I
of my
see it.
headphones.
I see it.
Yeah.
Hey, as far as trending topics go here, Elon Musk revealed last week that he plans to step down from his role as a special government employee by the end of May.
Wait a minute now. How is
Yeah.
he supposed to take over the world if he resigns his post?
Right, as you
You
mentioned
can't
last hour, it
simultaneously
wasn't.
be the evil genius that's going to take over the world and then put your papers in to quit in May. Like, one of these two things doesn't fit the narrative.
Yeah, and trying to take over the world in a temporary position as well, right? I mean, he goes on to say he can, he can slash that $1 trillion in government spending within that time frame, but taking over the world, I guess he would have to do that as well.
He wants to infiltrate the U.S. government and
Of course,
and rule things.
and he only has.
And he wants your information and my information too.
And needs to do it
make sure that
within.
he control all of us. That's what he's out there for, man.
Isn't he?
That,
I mean,
like, he's doing that when he's not, creating a naders and trying to beat Perry the Platypus.
oh my goodness.
What?
And oh my, I'm just
sorry.
I
did not mean
early.
to turn Elon Musk into Heinz Doofenshmirtz.
Well, I mean, a lot of people probably have that perception
Nobody gets that joke. Like, there's a handful
Nobody
of
gets
people
it,
that
but
that joke.
But there's
But
the implication. Yeah. Oh my
I'm
goodness.
sorry. I don't do a whole lot of impressions really well. Sorry.
In other news, Senator John Fetterman is facing mounting pressure to resign. His crime, though, agreeing with parts of Donald Trump's agenda and working on pieces of bipartisan legislation.
Man, I feel awful for this guy. This guy just cannot catch a break. Like, he was propped up to run for Senate immediately after having a stroke. And it just wasn't fair to have cameras and microphones in his face every single day. That wasn't fair. I mean, he was struggling for his recovery. And now that he's recovered, and the dude actually, I'm not going to agree with him very often because he's a Democrat, but he makes sense, and he acts more like a statesman than anything else. And now they want to run him out. I mean,
so let me get this straight. So due to his
run him, and now they want to run him out.
Right. And due to his alignment with the Republican Party and what is being described as an abandonment of democratic values, he's getting,
Plus, he dresses like Bill Belichick.
Hey, I mean, you
look,
can't disagree there.
I would rock a hoodie every day of my life if I could. Like,
absolutely. Oversized hoodie.
I envy the man for that.
In other news, more local news here, the National Weather Service has confirmed that yesterday's storms produced at least 2 tornadoes in Louisiana, one of them in Livingston Parish and the other in St. Landry Parish.
Yeah, we had an EF0 in Livingston Parish, which basically means you were right at 75 miles per hour, or as you described it last hour, right at 75 miles per hour. I'll take it.
So I was doing a little research there. So an EF0 is anywhere between 65 to 85. An EF1 is 86 to 110, and an EF2 is 111 to 135 miles per hour. So, yeah.
And how high?
So just that's the highest I saw. EF2, but it's got to go higher than that, right?
Yes.
Got to.
Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt don't have a movie in the mid '90s.
And there's not that sequel that came out last year. Come on,
Twister.
Yeah,
it's more than a board game.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Sorry, had to get one more Doofenshmirtz in there.
One more.
We're at 712 at Talk 107.3 FM. Got to remind you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website if you want to check them out. LandmarkBankLA.com is where you will find them. Now, That's where you'll find them online. Where you're going to find them in real life, you're going to find them in the surrounding area around Baton Rouge. You're going to find them in Denham. You're going to find them in Clinton. You're going to find them in Zachary. You're going to find them in Bruley. In fact, if you visit landmarkbankla.com, you get a full list of where their locations are. They were founded over 100 years ago as a community bank. You know what they are today? A community bank, staying true to their mission for well over 100 years. So if you're in one of those communities and you don't just want a bank, you want a banker. You want someone who's going to hold your hand and walk you through the process as you buy your first home, as you buy your second home, as you add on to your home, as you start a business, as you grow that business. LandmarkBankLA.com is where you're going to get started. Check them out today, LandmarkBankLA.com. Quick break. We've got Grover Norquist up next.
All right, you're clear.
How we looking, John? How much time we got?
I was about to let you know. Yeah, you're. I got the bumper music on right now.
Okay, all right.
You ready?
I'm good. How you been? Brian, good to see you. 7:15 to Talk 107.3 FM at WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Happy to welcome my next guest to the show. That would be the head of Americans for Tax Reform. He is Grover Norquist. Grover, welcome back. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. Good to be here. Good to be in Louisiana.
No, glad to have you on. Glad to be chatting this morning. We had you on last year as well.
Yep.
And I don't think there's ever going to be a time where tax reform isn't a main topic. So,
well, there shouldn't be a time when tax reform, because we need to normalize the idea that every year, not only do people say, okay, we have all these spending interests that want money.
Mhm.
One question is, what are you going to do for taxpayers this year?
Right.
So if you're going to spend more on this, or this, what taxes are you reducing? And as long as you ask yourself that every year, the legislature can't get too crazy, because there may be four spending interests that want something, and taxpayers. You can't leave taxpayers, push them away from the table.
So where those taxes come from, it feels like we see ebbs and flows or different waves of where, the popular areas to tax have come from in the past. Here locally, we're trying to get rid of our income tax, our state income tax,
Yes.
so that we can keep up with surrounding states who are already either on that path or so far down that path we don't even see them anymore. But to do it, it feels like we're just making trade-offs thus far. In fact, our sales tax going up by half a penny.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get one without having to sacrifice the other?
What a number of states are doing, and just you talk about all 50 states. 50 states, 8 of them have no personal income tax now.
Right.
Okay. The most recent state to become truly a no personal income tax state was New Hampshire, and that was just a few months ago, January. Before that, it had taxed dividends and interest.
Mhm.
So as you're saving for retirement, they tax that, but not your wages.
Okay.
So it's a step in the right direction, but it's now completely no income tax. 8 states, no personal income tax. There are 15 states now, actually, no, 16, with Louisiana going to a single rate tax.
Right.
So 15 states had a single rate tax. And that's very important because it takes envy off the table when you discuss. So we're going to reduce the 3% income tax or increase it. If the politicians can say, well, as there were in North Dakota till recently, 9 different rates, and you can tinker with them. You can go after one group and then after another, and you never have to face the entire audience, the citizens at once. To give you an idea of how powerful a single rate tax is, Illinois, left-wing, Bolshevik, Chicago, 2-1 Democrat.
I wasn't ready for that word this morning, but okay.
We're talking about Illinois here. 2-1 Democrat controlled House and Senate.
Yeah.
Their personal income tax is under 5%.
Okay.
Why? Because by Constitution, they have a single rate tax. They only have one rate. Even with 2/3 majorities, even with a corrupt structure in Chicago guaranteeing that you can't ever lose an election, they're scared to raise taxes on everyone at once.
Right.
And so that shows the power. In Kansas, they just this year voted to go to a single rate tax, take the tax rates that a couple of them bring them all down to 4, and then that's your single rate tax there. The Lady Democrat governor of Kansas was willing to do anything other than a single rate. And I'd always thought the single rate was key to future tax cuts, to stop tax increases, but to watch her, whatever was put on the table, she just couldn't abide a flat rate tax. Now, mind you, Republicans got 2/3 majorities because she's left wing and silly and ridiculous, and because they purged politely the 2 liberal Republicans who got paid off by the governor to vote with him from time to time with jobs, which also means they leave, and then the 2 quote unquote conservatives who were too cool for school and everything wasn't perfect, and they might as well have been Democrats because they always voted no on any progress.
Right.
And that made them feel good, like peeing their pants or something. But anyway, they were also encouraged to take another job doing something else that don't get in the way of progress. So 8 states, no income tax. 15 states, single rate, easy to reduce. And there are 12 states, like the state of Louisiana now, which has made a commitment to go all the way down to 0. And that is an incredibly important project because it means as revenue comes in, there are a couple questions. How much do we cut the income tax now? And what else does one spend money on? But taxpayers are always there saying, cut taxes, cut taxes, cut taxes. I remember when people said, well, I already cut taxes in my term as governor in 4 years. So now I'm going to do other things. No. There's never other things. You can decide how much you want to cut taxes, which taxes you want to cut. But by definition, taxes take money from people who earned it and give it to people who didn't necessarily earn it.
Taxes also pay for things like roads and schools, and like there are legitimate things there as well. And I think I'm sorry, I'm going to pivot the discussion real quick because I want to make sure we get to addressing those needs, making sure that government is doing what it was original function is to do, and that's on a federal level, state level, local level. All these levels of government have their different roles. That which is not in the Constitution kicks down the state. State kicks down the local. Everybody has their role to pay and their role to play, and taxes do need to be collected to fund those things. Now, we are starting to see a trend right now, and this takes us up to Doge. We're starting to see a trend right now where on all levels of government, we're starting to open our eyes up a little bit and say, hey, are we spending these dollars wisely?
Absolutely. And one of the challenges is a government that tries to do 50 things is not going to do the 3 important ones well, because the focus is always on the new shiny thing. And by the way, when you take government outside of its legitimate realm and start doing things, first of all, it generates all sorts of fights back and forth. Government's not very good at doing certain things. It's not even very good at building roads in terms of being cost effective. But I think it's very important that we reduce the number of things the government's trying to do, because that reduces the level of stupid and the level of expense. And this is the comparison between Florida and New York. Florida and New York have roughly the same number of people. There are 2.5 million more people in Florida than New York, but they're about the same. Last year's numbers, Florida spent $115 billion, state of Florida. New York, $230 billion.
Right.
Twice as much. And they have the same number of people. So they both have roads, New York, Florida. They have schools. The schools aren't any better in New York. The roads aren't any better in New York. What you buy for a doubling, and then when people say, well, if you don't have an income tax, how are you going to pay for X, Y, and Z? Florida spends $115 billion every year less than New York, which means that's the income tax they don't have.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
What do you do?
Probably dollar for dollar. I mean, I'm sure it's close.
Yeah. And here's what New York gets for twice as much taxes each year. More government employees who work fewer hours each day, fewer days each year, fewer years in their life, benefits that you and I will never see,
right.
Pensions that you and I will never see. They have an aristocracy that is paid way beyond what they produce and what they're worth and what they could make in another zone. And it's a credentialed community. You get a credential and then you've got the job. You don't have to be any good at it. You just have to come, I have a teacher's certificate. What does that mean? It means what the teachers union says it means.
When did we start looking at the government as a job driver?
I think that
not in the private sector. I mean, within the government itself.
Yes. Probably Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or I'm not sure Hoover did that much of it. Every dumb thing that Franklin Delano Roosevelt did to make government too fat, too big, too bloated, doing things it was not supposed to do, Hoover tried first. So to be fair to FDR, he just took stupid and put it on steroids.
Okay.
Putting price controls on farm products, and Hoover took tax rates up dramatically, and then FDR even higher. There was a Great Depression in 1921, but it lasted 18 months because the Republican presidents cut taxes and cut spending, and things got back to normal, and they started growing again. Then you had what was another recession, but because the government decided to fix this one, it lasted either 10 years or 15 years, depending on whether you're counting unemployment or GDP. But it lasted a long. The recession we did the most to fix lasted the longest. It's not like they did so much because all the stuff they did was at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's what made it last a long, long time.
All right. I apologize. I redirected you again. Let's get you back on track with Doge. We're talking with Grover Norquist. He heads up Americans for Tax Reform. Your gut take, is Elon Musk going to be successful and to what level? And I don't want to credit just Elon because he's just a figurehead here. He's the guy that everybody points at and wants to, light their torches and go after.
And the press is not capable of nuanced thinking, so they have you give them.
Well, I just showed that example. Yeah, it's guilty.
And that's what they focus on. But it is also true that he brought in a great deal of talent that does not exist inside the government. Mm-hmm. They were going in and saying, let's check and see how many people are getting Social Security checks. Let's see if the names on what's going out, are people getting one check or two? And so they found a number of stuff. It may be that some of the people who were 120 and 150 years old were no longer getting checks, but their names were still in the system.
So
what stopped that from happening?
Right.
Okay? I had always assumed as a kid that when you died, the mortician sent a note to Social Security and they stopped writing checks to you. Not clear how that happens or whether it happens selectively. And to cross-check people who pay taxes, people who have Social Security numbers, people who are citizens, because there are lists of those, and to check and see who's in the country, who's not in the country, or some people, several people. I remember when Reagan talked about, actually, Reagan never used the term welfare queen, but other people did, because there was, I think, one person who was like getting 16 checks, had one of those very long names with a number of different last names.
Yes.
And each one was getting a check. Well, but only one Social Security number. So with computers and so on today, you could catch that sort of thing
Right.
quicker than they did back then. So he is focusing through X, through Twitter. When they find something, they kick it up and out. When the Grace Commission, which Reagan put together, Reagan gave the Grace Commission 3 years to come. They found $100 billion worth of waste. Much of it was things the government could do, Reagan could do as the manager of the government, what laws that needed to be changed. So a lot of savings were made. They block granted many, many welfare programs, little small ones.
We got 2 minutes left with Grover Norquist. I do want to try to get into what your role is here today.
Sure.
But I got one more on Doge.
Okay.
Doge eliminates a lot of waste within the government. That does not change my tax bill come April 15th. Is this going to, yes or no question, is this going to translate into my taxes on a federal level going down?
It will, and the tax cut will pass this year. The continuation of the Trump tax cuts plus some other tax reductions, all made possible because you're seeing them bending down the cost curve. If they drop 400,000 government jobs and hold that for 10 years, that is $1 trillion savings.
What are we doing today? What's on tap for you within the Solution Summit?
To talk about Louisiana and how it's doing in the race to get to zero and keep taxes and spending low, and also talk about other ideas in the future things other states are doing, things that are happening in Washington, D.C., that are either good examples or bad examples of what to do.
1 minute.
Avoid.
He is Grover Norquist. He heads up Americans for Tax Reform. Give us a grade real quick between last year and this year. Louisiana, we're getting better, we're getting worse. What are we doing?
The move to phase the income tax to zero is incredibly important. Those states that continue to have income taxes, and especially high income taxes, California, New York, New Jersey, they are going to continue to fall further and further behind. People are deciding where to move factories, where to move jobs, where to move themselves, their children, where to invest their money, and it is flowing into those states that are either at zero or headed to zero.
He is Grover Norquist, heads up Americans for Tax Reform, going to be part of the rundown for the Pelican Institute's Solution Summit today. Grover, I appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much
for the opportunity.
10.
Always a fascinating conversation. 7:30 at Talk 107.3 FM. Let's check news, traffic, weather. We're talking regulation next.
All right, you're clear.
How we looking, John?
We're good. We're still in the break. We're about to be coming up to weather.
Okay. Galen says, I don't see eliminating income tax in Louisiana as a possibility. Sales tax is already high and property tax increases are taboo. That's why we needed to pass Constitutional Amendment 2 last Saturday, Galen, is to open things up for everybody. You don't have to worry about any one taboo anymore. If everybody can take a 5% haircut, then but you can't do that the way things are built out right now. So. When are you up today?
11.
Ah. There you are.
There's me.
Where were we? Was it Washington Mardi Gras? Where like I saw you at like David St. Germain's party?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it was. And you're like, regulators!
We're back.
Yes, let's go. Round 2.
I will do this until we pass it.
Yes. We got some. We got some wins.
We did. We did.
Thank
We
you,
will.
Michael
It's fine.
Bayham.
Thank you, Mike. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, you ready?
Yep.
Let's roll.
737 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We are on location today for the Pelican Institute's Solution Summit 2025, the next chapter. What is the next chapter when it comes to regulation and deregulators mounting back up?
Back up.
Yup. Sarah Harbison is General Counsel with the Pelican Institute for Public Policy. She joins us now. Sarah, welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. How about you?
Doing very well. Okay, so it was about this time last year
Yes.
when we were sitting down. We were quoting Warren G. A little bit too much, probably.
Yes.
And not that you can quote him too much, but it was time for regulators to mount up or deregulators to mount up. We saw some wins on this front in the last legislative session, but we are nowhere close to a finish line. Walk me through where we're at right now.
Absolutely. We did. You're right. We saw some wins last year. We are one of the most regulated states in the country, second most in the South. Where we saw some real progress was in the area of occupational licensure. Representative Bayham brought a fantastic bill last year, getting rid of the florist license. We were the only state in the U.S. that requires people to take a test to arrange flowers and sell them.
You ever see something so stupid you kind of want to keep it just because you can point to it? That's like it's like if you see, like, you ever make fun of someone so much that you want to thank them for the good times? Like, that's the florist, the occupational licensure with the florist was like, that was so dumb, but it was such a glaring example of everything else that was wrong.
But the good news is we now have Nevada to make fun of because they license magicians.
No.
Nevada licenses magicians, and New Orleans, as you know, licenses tour guides. So somebody has to check to see, are you telling the truth about the ghost tour?
Okay, I'm going to take serious issue with this on a number of different fronts because, number one, my main issue with that is the oversight. I don't think anybody's following through because they got some terrible ghost tours going on in New Orleans right now. They're not selling the extent of what went on in the LaLaurie house.
Not at all.
No, it's awful. So if you're going to have the license, follow through on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's unacceptable. How does one license a magician?
That's a great question. Like, do do you pull the rabbit out the hat and it's still
do.
alive?
I'm sorry, the rabbit was not in the hat, sir. We cannot license you anymore. No, sir, that was not my card.
No.
Okay, what's on tap for this year, this legislative session? I know it's a fiscal session. I don't know how much crossover you can get with deregulation versus a fiscal session, but where are we going?
Well, I think we're going to talk about taking a deep dive into some of the regulations that we have. Most of our regulations are in the oil and gas petrochemical industry. So one of the things we could do, one of the things that Idaho did very successfully is they said, okay, let's open the books. Let's see what we've got here. We could probably go in there and take a pass, eliminate anything that says fax machine, floppy disk, cassette player. We probably eliminate a lot of outdated regs.
Yeah.
And then once we have that, we see what we're working with. We can see what these regulations cost.
Okay.
And any new regulations, we can see there's an idea for a bill called the REINS Act, Regulations from the Executive in Need of Scrutiny, modeled off of the federal REINS Act. Where regulations that have a fiscal note, so legislation, you'd have a fiscal note. So there's some accountability once that bill is moving through the legislature. We could talk about how much this is going to cost, what kind of burden it's going to place on the taxpayers. Whenever somebody comes up with a regulation in one of the agencies and it costs money, we don't talk a whole lot about it. There's no oversight there. There's no accountability for that. So with a REINS Act, you would have some accountability. You'd have a check in the legislature to say, is this a good use of our taxpayer dollars or not?
We're talking with Sarah Harbison from the Pelican Institute about deregulation. Okay, how do you walk that balance of what is unnecessary? Because I think we'll all agree that we don't just want the wild, wild west everywhere, right?
Certainly.
There are certain levels of regulation that need to be had in certain places. How do you walk that balance of what's valid and what's not? Who gets to be that arbiter?
I think one of the things that you can do is do a better job going forward of writing the regulations. So whenever you pass a bill in the legislature, it says the agency shall create rules to regulate Gator scholarships, for example. The Department of Education was tasked in writing those rules. If you write the rules in plain language that people can understand, that makes a better rule. If you, one of the things that the Mercatus Center, for example, found out is whenever you put these rules out for public comment, people are able to catch things. Oh, wow, I didn't think of that. Or I didn't realize that that language might be unclear, or that the average person reading this who it impacts might have trouble following that regulation. So when we have input from the public, which requires you to, I guess, subscribe to the Louisiana Register like I do, take a look at those rules and regulations that are coming forward and see, is this something that people can understand? Do people weigh in on it?
How much of this, and you kind of mentioned it a minute ago with the fax machine comment, how much of this is based off of, we write things based off the now, not the forever?
Right. I think that's a fair question. That's a great thing that we can look into, and that's something looking forward. We can say, you need to capture this, record it. Don't say provide your public records on a floppy disk.
Right. Talk with Sarah Harbison from the Pelican Institute about deregulation and where we're headed. I want to go back to occupational licensure, because while the florist is a win, what's next? Because I remember this debate got heavy last year with, you want doctors operating on people? No, then nobody said that. But where do we go from here? Who needs to be next in that line?
Oh man, who needs to be next? I think that there is some opportunity with cosmetology board.
Okay.
One of the things that we need to do there are plenty of jobs in the cosmetology industry, especially in men's haircut places.
Okay.
To become a cosmetologist, you need, I think, 1,500 hours of training. 4 of the 7 votes on the cosmetology board are controlled by people who are associated with cosmetology schools. So these people have no interest.
How many hundred hours?
1,500 hours.
To become
a cosmetologist. So to be an EMT, a police officer, to fly a plane, you need fewer hours to do any of those
that's
things.
just insane, Sarah.
I know.
Like, okay, when COVID hit and everything shut down, I bought some clippers, started cutting my own hair.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I only started going back to glamour cuts because I miss my girls over there. Like, it's just like 1,500 hours to learn how to cut.
Right.
Oh, all right. All right. What would be another good example there? Because that's pretty glaring.
Yeah, that one is glaring. Another one, Representative Baham, you mentioned earlier today with the florist licensing bill. There is an opportunity to put people to work, really, when it comes to natural hair braiding.
Wait, that one did.
No.
Did that one not pass?
At all. No.
And that one, okay.
Right,
So
right.
I remember this one because I thought that sailed through.
It didn't. No, there's a great movie. If you have time to check it out, it's called Freedom Hair, and it's the story of the woman who was a natural hair braider. She learned how to braid hair in her community, and she did a wonderful job of it. And her clients were very satisfied. But the state of Mississippi came and shut her down because she wasn't licensed, and she led the fight to de-license natural hair braiders. And I think 33 states now no longer require the state's permission.
So that would put us in the 17 that do, though.
Absolutely.
Unreal.
Unreal.
We're talking about deregulation with Sarah Harbison from the Pelican Institute for Public Policy. All right, you are speaking today about this from 11 until noon. Let's talk a little bit about what's in the presentation. Give us some spoilers if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, we talked a little bit about the REINS Act, about some opportunities that we have with occupational licensure, but we're going to hear from Colleen Lindgren, who's with the Pacific Legal Foundation, about how these regulations impact states, how much they cost states, what they cost in terms of job loss.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that people look at whenever they're considering moving to Louisiana. Fortunately, a few years ago, we passed something called the Welcome Home Act, where we do recognize occupational licenses from other states.
Yeah.
So if people want to move here, that's an enticement to come here and talk about. We're going to talk with Ryan Roberts, who is the former director of boards and commissions for Governor Landry, and he is going to talk about the governor's role. And let's find out what we're working with here. What are some of the areas of opportunity? What are we going to find out from this executive order that he issued in January, collecting data from the occupational licensing boards? And finally, we're going to hear from Senator Reese, I hope, about what he has in store for this coming session.
Very cool stuff. On the overall front, this is going to be a fiscal session, so it's probably going to be a little more limited there. Are y'all able to narrow down your focus a little more? Because I know it's you want whatever wins you can get, right?
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
Are you able to narrow down your focus for a session like this year as opposed to when we're in the non-fiscal year?
Absolutely, we are. We're able to. The interest is there.
Yeah.
I mean, Representative Baham, for example, he has vowed to get rid of one occupational license this year and keep chopping away through the rest of his term. So the interest is there. I've talked with several legislators who are interested in either bringing a bill or supporting a bill, or what can we do to take a closer look at this issue, maybe set up for something for next year. But the interest is there, and it's people recognize that this is a big problem in our state.
Do you know which one he wants to get rid of this year?
Hair braiders.
Oh, okay. So we're sticking with that one. All right. Yeah, that has to get done.
It has to.
That is small business.
2
minutes. And the definition of small business, really.
What's silly is that Mississippi no longer licenses hair braiders. So if you live in Slidell, if you live anywhere near the border, you can easily get an appointment with a hair braider in Mississippi and probably pay less for it too. Those are jobs that could be going to Louisianans.
She is Sarah Harbison with the Pelican Institute. Her presentation's coming up at 11 o'clock. Going to be in the governor room for deregulators back in the saddle. I greatly appreciate a couple minutes this morning, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We are 1 minute away from checking your money now. Then we'll check traffic and continue on here on Talk 173 FM. I do need to take that minute to remind you about the folks over at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website if you want to check it out. We were bumping around FlyBTR.com yesterday morning as those storms were rolling through. You had a front page or a front row seat to what flights were on time, what flights were going to be late, what was going to be delayed as a result of the storm. And the folks over at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport, of course, getting everybody in, everybody out, everybody on their way
1 minute.
in such a timely manner. If you are making travel plans, whether it be for business, whether it be for personal, whether it be that upcoming summer vacation, and you don't want to load the tribe and up in the family trucks to head cross country to Wildly World, maybe think about flying out of your own backyard. And when you look at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport, don't just look at straight up ticket prices. Look at the entire experience. Look at having to haul down I-10 for an hour. Look at the parking down there. Look at the TSA maze down there versus the absolute pleasurable
30.
experience it is to fly out of your own backyard, support your local economy, flybtr.com. All right, we got your money now coming up in just a second. I do need to remind you throughout the morning, the Dreams Come True Radiothon is underway right now. Talk 107.3 FM and the Baton Rouge Clinic are bringing you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. We're going to be telling you about it throughout the month. But if you know, you know. And you know, go to talk1073.com and donate today. Here's your money now.
5. All right, you clear.
God almighty. How we looking, John?
Yeah, we're still on break. We're about to be coming back in a few seconds.
All right.
Less than a minute for sure.
All right. You got those cuts, and they need to be played where I can hear them too. So
Yeah, I got them.
cool.
I'll have it where you can hear it.
Thank you. So
Welcome.
Thurn's in here, and I'll be back on time. I literally just texted you back. No, I said no because I just hit send it like my phone ain't going back to sleep yet. I wouldn't bring up anything bad or anything for over unless I had a padded room at the minute. Like because you can't bring up Thrive without bringing everything that's built up over the last 4 years, right? And I just thought, you spent what on this? Like at every turn, it was send him into straight insanity.
All right, Brian, we're coming back in.
Cool.
Let's go.
7:55 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Man, been a busy show thus far, and we show no signs of taking a foot off the gas. Coming up next hour, we will talk with our Workforce Secretary, Susie Schoen, and we'll talk with State Senator Blake Miguez as our coverage from the Pelican Institute's Solution Summit 2025 continues. Hey, before we hop on our next story, got to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. I've been telling you every day they're back in Kenilworth, y'all. Highland at Kenilworth. Mathern's is back home, the OG Baton Rouge location. But considering where I'm at right now, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you about the downtown location. They're nestled in between 3rd and 4th Street. They're right over there next to Main. Mathern's has been rocking it downtown for some time now and very, very quickly became a downtown staple. As we move closer to the legislative session, if you find yourself downtown a little more often, if you find yourself in the area around the state capitol a little more often, maybe hit up Mathern's along the way, whether you're stopping in for lunch, whether you need to bang out some groceries, whether you're picking up a gift for somebody you might be going to meet with, Mathern's has got you covered. And if you have the Mathern's Rewards app, you could be earning cash towards more groceries every time you shop. Yeah, you get the great deals. Yeah, you get the coupons. Yeah, you get the weekly the newspaper insert where they have all the specials and everything. It's all built right into the app. But you're in cash towards more groceries every time you shop at Mathern's. It's good at all 3 locations. Downtown on 3rd Street, the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, and Highland at Kenilworth. It's Mathern's. So how do we pick up and move forward after Saturday? Amendment 2 fails miserably at the polls. And that's not an overstatement. That's not hyperbole. It was 65 to 35. That was a resounding trouncing. Julie Emerson's the one who wrote the bill. She says the reason she authored the amendment as such a broad rewrite of Article 7 of the state constitution is because there's been so many changes to it over the years. She wanted to basically wipe the slate clean and start fresh. Cut 10, please.
Over time, there's been so much that has been added and cluttered and even some outdated on Article 7. And so that is why we were trying to do more of a broad stroke rewrite on that.
Emerson says, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop right there. The Constitution that we adopted in 1974, 50 years ago, over the years that have followed since, we have built up a distrust of our government, a serious distrust of our government. A lot of those people serve time, okay?
2 minutes.
Louisiana has been in a horrible course since then, where we have spiraled our way to the bottom of every good list and the top of every bad list. What went down on Saturday was an attempt to undo that. To take the old school legislators that we all distrust and flush their work down the toilet. Take the old school legislators that have done us wrong, that have padded their pockets over the course of the years, and say, we're going to close the book on you and open the book on this new crop that we've recently elected. Let them cook for a change. That's what we said no to on Saturday. Emerson says, even with everything, even with the large number, 65% against, it was just a few details of the amendment that voters were concerned about, and that's why it was ultimately defeated. Cut 11.
I think about 85% of the amendment, many people agreed on. Certainly, I'll concede that there was about 15% or so that caused a lot of confusion and brought out a lot of opposition.
I don't know that it caused confusion or if confusion was sought. Because if you've spent the last 50 years profiting off the way that things are, you're going to do your best to defend the way things are. You don't want change if your pockets are lined with the way the law is written now. So I don't know that the bill caused confusion so much as those who wanted to cause confusion caused confusion. Emerson does concede that because there were so many components to the amendment, fellow lawmakers had trouble answering all the questions as they came back to them. Cut 12.
There were so many questions that legislators kind of individually all tried to address as they popped up with constituents in their districts. But unfortunately, we just weren't able to answer all of them and make people comfortable with it.
So then the question becomes, how do you break it down and rebuild it? Can you do this in smaller pieces? And if they can, what does that look like? And are you going to see the effects that we could have seen had this passed? Side note, you've rekindled the fire of a constitutional convention. Hour 3 is next.
You're
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. It was a big hit last year.
I'll just work after because coming next Wednesday, the following Monday, I come back with you.
Okay.
No, that's a done deal. Now, did I have to line up people for guests? Did you line up?
We both did. We both did. You had Liz to lead us off.
Okay.
And then we kind of traded off who was coming in.
But the big thing would be pizza.
Yeah.
We end up getting that. We got to go.
No, we did not, because he gets ready for his opening address. No, you got the gov on your show. Yeah, between 9 and 11.
I'll see if he can come to the lounge.
Okay.
But I can see he's working on that.
Yeah. Oh my word!
All right, we're in weather right now, so
Do what?
we're in weather right now.
Awesome sauce.
All right, 8 a.m. open.
Cool. Just say when to go.
All right. All right, Brian, let's roll.
806 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing back in studio as we are live on location for the Pelican Institute for Public Policy's Solution Summit 2025. It says Our Louisiana Comeback, but this time it's the next chapter. We have had a busy show thus far this morning. We talked with Melissa Landry about energy and the future demand there. We talked with the CEO of the Pelican Institute, Daniel Ersbaum. I love having him on. Grover Norquist talked tax reform. Sarah Harbison talked deregulation. This hour, we're talking workforce. This hour, we are talking with State Senator Blake Miguez. So looking forward to all of that. We got a lot of ground to cover. But before we get into anything, though, been teasing it a little bit throughout the morning, and I just want to make a formal reminder here. Talk 107.3 FM and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The following local businesses have also pledged to match your donations throughout the month. That would be Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus and Action Industries, and Subaru of Baton Rouge, as well as Service Chevrolet, Luba, and Duplessis Pool Builders. Visit talk1073.com to help us reach our goal, and together we can make dreams come true. Y'all know we look forward to this partnership every single year, right? Y'all know that it was, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, we were out there at the golf tournament. And this is just one of those partnerships that we absolutely adore. We absolutely love because the work that they do, granting dreams for local children, Louisiana children, battling life-threatening illnesses, there's so much reward on the back end, mostly because you know where your money's going. It stays here in Louisiana, and you know it's actually getting to the kids and their families. We'll talk a lot more about it as the month wears on, but just know right now that the Radiothon is on. Donations are open at talk1073.com. All right, time for This Day in History. Let's roll.
Yes, it is time for This Day in History. Can you hear me, Brian?
I can.
All right. Start off in 1748, where the ruins of Pompeii are rediscovered. So we'll start there.
Why not? Just 1748, they just stumbled across the ruins of Pompeii.
They're like, oh, hey,
Hey, that's
there it is.
You leave that there? I don't remember leaving that there.
Hey, 1778, New Orleans businessman Oliver Pollock creates the dollar symbol.
What?
I didn't realize that came out of New Orleans,
The
so that's really
dollar
cool.
symbol came out of New Orleans?
That's right, by
It
a
shouldn't be a
Mr. Oliver
surprise, though.
Pollock.
It shouldn't be a surprise that the symbol that's on Cash Money came from the same place as Cash Money Records.
That's it.
About
That's it. I love the
About
connection
it.
there. Love tying it in like that. Every time I think anyway,
You can't go
see,
too far into that song.
see what
We're not to a
happened?
word we're not allowed to say,
Oh,
so.
that's right. FCC will be on us, man. Hey, 1934, Clyde Barrow kills 2 young highway patrolmen at the intersection of Route 114 near Grapevine, Texas. Of course, Bonnie Parker's role in the murders helped turn public perception against the gang for good. So, yeah, Bonnie and Clyde on the run in 1934.
Okay.
1945, Battle of Okinawa. U.S. ground forces invade Okinawa during World War II in the largest amphibious assault on the Pacific Theater. So that happened as well.
Okay.
Today, 1948, the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory was proposed in Scientific Journal
Wait, what
Physical Review. 1948.
Okay.
Big Bang Theory was introduced. So yeah, let's see.
And that's where
1950s.
that stupid sitcom came from?
I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah. Okay. Am I on an island here? That show was terrible.
I personally didn't care for it, but
everything was an inside joke, and we weren't inside.
No.
Okay.
And there were people that love that show. I mean,
Sure.
it's like the prequel, to Sheldon or whatever. I just never got into it. Young Sheldon, yeah, that's what it was. See, yeah.
Speaking of nerds, what happened in 1976?
Helter Skelter was
Where I was going with that.
Oh, you know what, Brian?
Hit up the Helter
You
Skelter.
are so right, because in 1976, you know what? Let's go back to your joke. Yeah, speaking of nerds, Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs found Apple computers
There you go.
in the
That's where I
garage
was
of
going
Jobs'
with that
parents'
one. Yeah.
house. I'm so sorry. I had to scroll down a little bit.
I don't know how we went from nerd to Helter Skelter, but okay.
Well, being in a cult, it's
Sure.
nerdish. Don't do it, okay?
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, check this out. In 1957, PBS begins broadcasting in New Orleans as well.
Really?
Yeah, Channel 12. Channel 12 in New Orleans. Let's see. 1981, CNN airs a videotape that shows that Tamara Rand predicted that Reagan is in danger from someone named Jack Humley. This ended up being a hoax.
Okay. Imagine that, a hoax on April 1st.
April 1st. I know, right? Man. Is that anything else on your anything else happened this day?
No, nothing that we're going to report on.
Okay. Speaking of reporting on stuff. Man, did you see the birthdays today? Not a huge list here, but let's see. Look, this is where we're starting. So this just goes to show Logan Paul today.
Starting at Logan Paul.
That's how bad it is.
Wow.
That's how bad. I don't know if you have anyone better, or if your list gets any better. I'm sure it does. Maybe even on the sports end.
I've got
But
David Reynolds.
You're right. I
1932.
saw that.
Yeah,
country
maybe a little bit
music.
bigger than Logan Paul. How about
Yeah.
Otto von Bismarck, born on this day in 1815?
All right, country singer Kip Moore today as well, and in the country singers, Hillary Scott of Lady Antebellum.
Okay.
Or to be politically correct, they changed their name to Lady A. Sorry.
Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito, born on this day in 1950.
All right.
And that was all the ones that I had on the birthday front.
Okay. Moving on to deaths here, kind of the same. No real big deaths. I hate to say that, but notable for sure. How about you? Anybody?
You're kidding me, right?
Mine is reaching. Who do you have over there?
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye was today? Maybe he's
Yes.
further down this list,
Yes,
but he's
Marvin
not even
Gaye
in the.
shot on April 1st.
Oh my goodness!
Yep. That was really
Isn't
the
his
only one I
birthday?
had was Marvin Gaye.
Okay, yeah.
What
Dang,
national
he's
day
way
you got
up
for
there.
today?
Well, aside from April Fool's Day, of course.
Sure.
What about Boomer Bonus Day? Baby Boomers Bonus Day.
No.
Why not?
Veto.
How about International Fun at Work Day? You'll like
Also
that.
Veto.
What?
Every day is fun at work, John.
It is fun.
Yes.
I haven't worked a
Love
day
what you're
yet.
doing.
I haven't worked a day yet, Brian.
That's right.
It's been
you
fun. It's been
We're
fun.
at 814 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Speaking of loving what you do for work, how about the folks over at Vex European, VexEuropean.com? Vinny and his team have been loving what they do for over a decade now, celebrating their 10th anniversary over at Vex European. That's V as in Vinny, Vex European. If you drive a European vehicle, when it comes time to have that vehicle serviced and or repaired, where are you taking it? Take it back to the dealership? Taking it to somebody who just, they're pretty handy with cars? Or do you want to go with somebody that's got a little bit of very specific expertise? That's what they've got over at Vex European. Your European vehicle, they will pair you with someone who is master level certified for that vehicle. BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Jaguar, Land Rover. Hit the full list at VexEuropean.com. Then hit that little appointment tab. Whoa. Hit the specials tab. See if you can't save $100 on your first visit. Then hit the appointment tab and set up your appointment today at VexEuropean.com. Quick break. We're talking workforce next.
All right. Clear.
All right. Cool. So we're always on Facebook Live.
Yes.
Although you don't have any volume on your end, so it's not. So, what are we talking about?
Do you have anything in particular you want to talk about, or I can come back? So, what I'm here to talk about today is called the one-door model.
That's right. They have the. She had that written down for me.
Okay. So I'd like to talk about that. What we can start off.
Also,
It's shower.
okay.
Yes.
I've been saying shower. I don't know where you're showing.
Everybody says it one way or another. My husband says it. Yeah, I was listening to you earlier. That's exciting.
I was happy that this last year was a year, and somehow I knew that the conversation about his.
Hey, Brian.
Good time. How we doing, John?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to get to you. Yeah, we're back.
Let's go.
Let's go.
817 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time to pivot over to talk a little bit about the workforce. And for that, we have the secretary for the workforce development, Susie Showens, with us. Susie, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Glad to have you on this morning.
Yep,
glad to be
glad to
talking
be here.
workforce specifically. And I know you're going to be talking about this later on at the summit. One Door. What is it?
So the long story here is that if somebody is on social benefits and they need to figure out how to get a job, they have to skip all over town. They have to go in one door to get their Medicaid benefits. They need to go in another door to try to get some help in finding a job, food stamps, or somewhere else. They have many doors to walk through. And these are people who are already facing a lot of challenges. And we're more or less kind of saying, okay, here's some benefits and go find a job.
Okay.
But we're not saying, here's how you find a job. And we're not targeting those benefits in the interest of getting people to self-sufficiency.
Do we have a number on what percentage of those who are on benefits this affects? Because it sounds like, just layman, like looking at it from the outside in, I would imagine that there's a lot of just throwing up your hands and just giving up. When finding a job is a full-time job, and then justifying your benefits as a full-time job, now you got 2 full-time jobs without a paycheck. So this would simplify things and keep people on the path towards workforce?
That's exactly the idea. And yes, I think you're really keying into something. People get kind of demoralized and they can kind of lose their confidence in their own ability to kind of go out there and make things happen for themselves and for their children. A lot of these folks have children at home. They deserve the dignity and the pride of self-sufficiency, but they don't know how to get there.
Right.
And so we want to marshal our social services systems to get people to self-sufficiency, bringing them from dependence to independence is the way we like to talk about it, so they no longer need those benefits.
We're talking with Susie Showen, who heads up the Workforce Commission. Let's talk about what brought this up. I mean, is it modeled off of another state? How did we get to where we wanted to create a one door to begin with?
Well, and I'll tell you, I actually found out about the one door model through the Pelican Institute. So it's really terrific to be here to be able to talk about it. And before I ever had this role, I actually took a trip with Aaron and Daniel to learn more about it. And it's a national movement. We are way ahead of the game versus a whole lot of other states. But the state that's truly ahead of the game, and we've got Mason Bishop from Utah here to talk about it at the same time that I'm talking, Utah is really the one that leads the way. I'm disappointed to tell you that after Utah went in this direction in the late 90s, federal law changed to put some obstacles in place to prevent us from getting there. Very frustrating, very frustrating. We are relatively confident that there's some new legislation going to pass in the new Congress that would really give Louisiana and just a few other states, but including Louisiana, some more flexibility to go in this direction.
Okay, what creates that flexibility? What do you need from Congress?
So what I need from Congress is the ability to deploy our workforce funds in a way that makes sense for our state, in a way that allows us to blend or braid those funds. We often talk about braiding funding streams. It's kind of a term of art, but braiding those funding streams with the federal social benefits systems. So we need more flexibility to be able to build out this plan to self-sufficiency for our people.
We're talking with Susie Showen from the Workforce Commission about the one-door program and getting folks that are on benefits back into the workforce for their own freedom, their own productivity, and the backside of that is, not being beholden to the government's check every so often. What kind of numbers are we talking about here? How many people in Louisiana are affected by this?
So potentially thousands to tens of thousands.
Okay.
So there's a thing called the labor force participation rate. I'm not going to jump into the details of it, but I think people have been hearing about it a lot.
Yes, there's a big difference between the unemployment rate and the labor force participation rate. When you hear unemployment rate, that is not an accurate number to determine who is actually out there working.
That's exactly right. So right now, the labor force participation rate, and that's the percentage of our adults who are currently either working or looking for work, that number's at 57%. And if we got up to the national average, which is about 63%, that would add 140,000 workers to the Louisiana economy.
Okay, aside from the fact that the national average still leaves 37% of the populace not even bothering, not even that's got to be unbelievably frustrating. But if we were to get up to that number, do we have the jobs for them right now?
We do, and that's the other side of the story that is so important, is that our employers are really struggling to fill the job openings that they have. We've got amazing high-paid jobs in Louisiana that do not require a 4-year degree to get into. and we don't have the people to go there because they don't have the skills. So part of this story is helping these people sitting on the sidelines get the skills, get into those jobs, and help our employers.
Can One Door help on the skills front too, or does it just walk you up to where you're then?
It does. It does. Good question. And I'm going to kind of describe how that works.
Yes.
So our vision is a case management model where somebody comes in the door needing some assistance and they meet with a case manager who helps build them out a plan to get to self-sufficiency. It won't happen right away.
Right.
But it's not, okay, here's some childcare assistance. It's here's childcare assistance so you can get to this class at this college that's going to prepare you for this kind of job. It's here's an employer partner who's going to start you in an apprenticeship and offer you healthcare benefits earlier than they might have otherwise so we can get you off Medicaid.
Okay.
It's that sort of thing. It's very targeted to the individual.
Okay, so One Door isn't always the same door.
That's exactly right. I like that. It's a different door for every person. I'm going to steal that.
No, it's yours. Take it. We're talking with Susie Showen from the Workforce Commission. Talking a little bit about One Door, but overall about our workforce in Louisiana. What are some of the other challenges that we're facing right now to maximize what our workforce could be, to up that participation rate?
So one thing that I do want to talk about, because I was starting to talk about the struggles of our employers, and we just got two gigantic mega projects here in Louisiana, thanks to my good friend Susan Bourgeois. We're very proud of all of this. But those folks are going to need a lot of workers, and they need a lot of workers that have essentially the skilled trades.
Right.
And that is a huge priority for us right now, is making sure that our employers have enough workers in the skilled trades so that we can capitalize on these economic development opportunities and not diminish the positive impact that they can have on our communities.
Are we finally seeing the right trend when it comes to skilled trades? Because I know we're not there yet, but at least trending towards it. I know that there's been such a renaissance, if you will, of appreciating, artisanship, appreciating having an actual trade and mastering it.
I really do think that over the past, few decades, we've had a lot of folks graduating from four-year colleges and universities with a lot of debt and with credentials that don't really prepare them to be successful in the economy.
Right.
I do want to say I love the four-year colleges and universities. We need lots of people graduating with
100%.
lots of those degrees. But I feel like that development has help people understand that there really are good opportunities over here,
right, that
match or exceed what they can get from a four-year college or university. And I feel like people are finally starting to get that.
Yeah, and then getting to the spot where it doesn't have to be an either or.
Yes, exactly.
And to me, that should be the ultimate goal. Is like, you're going to a four-year college. That's great, but to do what? Like, that has to be the follow-up question, right? You don't go to the four-year college to get a degree. In what? To do what? I don't feel like we're following up on that front. Do we have a couple minutes? We do have a couple minutes left with Susie Showen. Can we talk about early education and its impacts on the workforce?
Absolutely. So I'm actually going to approach that from the other side, because I talked about child care assistance quite a few times already in terms of helping people get to school and get to work. Mm-hmm. So we need early childhood education in order to prepare the workforce 18 years from now, but we also need early childhood education to offer childcare to our parents that need to work right now. It's a workforce issue now and in the future.
See, this is a conversation I have with Dr. Brumley quite often. This is a conversation I have with Brack quite often, with Patterns Lines for Students, like everywhere we return. It's this twofold conversation where, number one, early childhood education is not daycare. But at the same time, early childhood education needs to be daycare to free up our current workforce, our current potential workforce as well. How do you walk that balance to make the sell that says we're doing both at the same time?
So I do think there's been a lot of movement under Cade's leadership now that early childhood education is under the oversight of the Department of Ed to actually make it education and professionalize the industry.
Yeah.
And I do know that a lot of the daycare providers not only are willing to move in that direction, that's where they've always wanted to go. So I feel like there has been progress there. I will say challenges remain. The business model is difficult. And, you know, without those workers earning a really solid wage,
Yeah.
it's hard to attract people who are truly educators. It's challenging.
Last minute before we get you out of here, let's go ahead back and recap One Door before we have to close out for news here. What is needed to take One Door to the next level?
Well, we are going to be introducing some legislation. Stephanie Burrell is working with us on that. I'm not going to be able to tell you all about it right now. I'm teasing it, but y'all will be hearing about it very soon, and we'd love to talk to you about it.
Well, April 14th is the opening of the session. I'm sure we will know it at the very least by then.
Yes, indeed.
She is Susie
30.
Shalom, heads up the Workforce Commission. I greatly appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. We are not done yet. It's 8:30 at Talk 107.3 FM. We got to walk you up the news, traffic, weather. On the flip side, when we come back, we've got one more guest slated for today.
15.
That would be State Senator Blake Miguez. Looking forward to that conversation as well. You know, I don't even know what
10.
we're talking about with Blake. I don't even know. Doesn't matter because it's always an awesome conversation. And it's coming
5.
your way next right here on Talk 107.3 FM. It's 8:30. Here's news.
All right, you clear.
Is that him walking up now? Sure. It's just a live broadcast. Oh, funny. Yeah. How we looking, John?
We're in weather right now. About to be bumping it back to you.
We're gonna just miss. We're going to miss your money now.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll.
8:37 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We are live on location today. We are out at the Capitol Hilton for the Pelican Institute's Solution Summit 2025. Been a busy morning thus far, and I'm guessing about 5 to 10 minutes from right now, somewhere up in the next 5 minutes or so, we should have State Senator Blake Miguez joining us. As is often the case when someone's coming in from Lafayette, sometimes there's some traffic on the bridge, and yep, there was an accident on the bridge this morning, so he got slowed down on his way here this morning, and hopefully he will roll up at exactly the right time, and hopefully he'll roll up in the next couple of minutes so that we can make sure we can get him on. Hey, one other quick reminder here about I know we haven't covered it yet, and I want to talk about it later on in the week as we get closer to Friday. But Live After 5 is back as of this week, y'all. Friday, April 4th, kicking off the Baton Rouge Blues Fest, also kicks off the springtime lineup for Live After 5. Going to have Jonathan Boogie Long, Joven Webb, and Hannah Piquet kicking off the Baton Rouge Blues Festival. You know where to find Live After 5, right across from Galvez Plaza on the permanent stage in downtown Baton Rouge. Your lineup this year, I've gotten a good look at it. After April 4th with Jonathan Boogie Long, on Friday, April 11th, you got Pocket Chocolate, a New Orleans-based funk, blues, and soul band featuring Zach Edwards and The Medicine, which is a Lafayette-based blues, soul, and rock and roll band. On Friday, April 25th, Fat Hat will be performing. I may be the MC for that one. I'm not really sure. On Friday, May 2nd, Six Strings Soldiers. That's a U.S. Army Field Band featuring David St. Remain. I'm looking forward to that one greatly. Looking forward to that one already out the blocks because it's our chance to get with to visit with our good buddy David St. Remain. Then Friday, May 9th, you got the Mixed Nuts going to be performing, and the springtime lineup will wrap up on Friday, May 16th with the Michael Foster Project featuring the Golden Sioux Indians. Michael Foster Project, always a staple of Live After 5, always a great performance as well. So, we're at 840 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. You can tell by the noise in the background, things are off and running here for the Pelican Institute's Solution Summit. As registration opened up about 40 minutes ago, they'll be getting their program started here at 9 o'clock. Program opens up with Daniel Earthsbaumer and Grover Norquist talking tax reform and talking La Doge. I was inside the main hall a minute ago. I got a look at La Doge up on the big screen there, and I think I'm a little bit disappointed here. I thought Doge locally was going to be DEAUGE, but it's just LADOGE. So I know the EAUX thing is way overused, but I kind of wanted to see it be used here. Also, Philip Gunn and Representative Stephanie Moreau are going to be part of the opening presentation there, and we're going to hear a lot from her in the upcoming legislative session. We spoke with Susie Showen during our last segment about at least one workforce bill that she's got coming our way. Adonica Duggan's going to be up at 10 o'clock for From Dependence to Flourishing. Talk about one door. It'll be Adonica. It'll be Mason Bishop. coming in from the American Enterprise Institute. That's where Susie's going to kick things in. Susie Showen from the Workforce Commission is going to be in on that one, as is Allie Rao. 11 o'clock brings us Wolves in Sheep's Clothing, Tech Policies That Do More Harm Than Good. Vance Ginn, Senior Economic Fellow for the Pelican Institute, is going to be speaking on that one. I'm looking at Vance. He's down there on Jeff Carrera's show right now talking about it. David McGarry is going to be in on that one from the Taxpayer Protection Alliance. Also speaking, there will be Taylor Barkley from the Abundance Institute. Jennifer Huddleston from, she's a Senior Fellow in Technology Policy over at the Cato Institute. And then Shoshana Weissman, Digital Director and Fellow over at the R Street Institute. Shoshana's been on our show before. That's 2 weeks in a row now that the R Street Institute is popping up, as they are, if you're not familiar with the R Street Institute, they are a right-leaning think tank. They do fantastic work out of Washington, D.C. They cover a number of different policy areas, and tech would definitely be one of them. So, and that walks us up to Sarah Harbison with deregulation, or deregulators back in the saddle, along with Colleen Lindgren, which is the last thing before lunchtime. All right, we'll pick back up on that in just a little bit. Joining us right now, and John, I'm already letting you know we're going to run long here. No problem at all. Senator Blake Miguez is with us. He is coming in on two wheels. Had a little accident, or had to pass an accident over on the bridge. How are you, sir?
Brian, how you doing this morning? Thank you for waiting on me.
No. Happy to.
We're working on getting the new bridge. It's just taking a little while, and they had an accident out there. So
okay, we're just from this is still a morning drive show. So where's the accident?
It's on the foot of the bridge near LA1 on the Mississippi River Bridge, eastbound, coming into Baton Rouge.
Okay. Make sure Ray has that in our next traffic update coming up about 10 minutes from right now.
Make sure you get into the left lane early, because that's the only open lane.
Awesome stuff. Pelican Institute Solution Summit 2025. What's on tap for you? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so I'm going to get the opening remarks here in a second, and we're going to talk about Louisiana's comeback story and how we're reopening our state for business and economic prosperity. And as you know, 2024, we had an amazing amount of wins coming from crime, education, tax reform. That we have some challenges, but we continue to work through. I have the honor of being appointed to and I'm going to call it La Doge, which is.
I was just commenting on that.
If you are, east of the Mississippi River, I think you spell that Ladoge. If you're west, you spell it LA. And it's got a few EXs in it,
Were you still in your car when I was saying that? Were you still in the car?
I heard that.
All right.
That's got a little bit of a nice ring to it if you're in Cajun land like myself. But on that commission, I would say, I work with some others, legislators, as well as those in the private sector, and we're looking for efficiencies in state government and how to control and basically put some spending restraints. We had some discussion during the session about a government growth limit to control the growth of recurring expenditures. It was included in the constitutional amendments that didn't see a great fate over the weekend. But I'll tell you, it's no big deal that they didn't pass, Brian. Look, no big deal. You know why? Let's talk about the elephant in the room. It's not a big deal, because I can tell you from working with the members of the legislature and our administration, their hearts are in the right place. We want to fix this state. We're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to pass some version of what you saw in that constitutional amendment number 2, not because we want to, it's because it's good policy that's going to further Louisiana's economic future. Now, if we have to make it more transparent, we have to break it up. If it takes us the next several years or a decade, it's something that must be done, because we've got to get our tax reform in place. But more importantly, I think the part that I mentioned earlier is the spending reform. I think our constituents and our voters back home want to see spending reform, to know that they can trust us to rearrange how we charge our taxes.
I understand that there's nothing that was on Saturday's ballot that can't be redone or streamlined or whatever. It is still disheartening, though, because we're 50 years into the state constitution. And since the state constitution was enacted in 1974, this state has done nothing but spiral to the bottom of every good list out there. And the rejection at the polls on Saturday shows that the distrust that was built up with the previous regimes still hangs around, and we can't trust the new guard to get out there and cook. We can't, we saw an overwhelming freshman class in 2023. We've got folks like you and Julie Emerson and Mike Baham. We've got a number of really, really solid conservatives in our state legislature, and we just, as a populace, won't give y'all the reins to do what we sent y'all there to do.
Well, look, and I agree with everything. We got a great set of legislators, but let's start off by saying it's not the Louisiana citizens or the voters' fault. I'm going to start off by saying that.
You are right. Yes.
They have sent us a message. If you can't, you have to read it between the lines here. It has nothing to do with tax reform, not necessarily someone spending reform, but an overwhelming majority of Louisiana citizens want to see us address the insurance crisis in this state. Property insurance, auto insurance. Now, when I go back and speak at chamber meetings and they'll talk about how great work, Blake, on crime and education and tax reform. We support you on that. But what are you doing about my insurance rates? And I think this is a wake-up message for everybody in state government to say, look, we need to listen to the voice of the people. We need to address this issue because it affects their daily lives.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about escrow accounts on people's loans at banks for their homes being changed, and now they can't afford to keep their home. That has a real effect on their lives. That's a larger effect than, let's say, what's going on in our tax policy.
Right.
That's important, but we have to address what's important to them first. I think if we have the will in the legislature with the help of the governor, and we address those issues, I think you'll find more trust building, because you're right. You got a bunch of talented legislators that you talked about, but we have to work on the things that's most important to them, to show them the path to prosperity on things like tax reform, spending reform, education, and crime. And I think we'll get there. We just can't give up. We are not going to settle for last. If we work together with the help of the people, we can be one Louisiana, a state that we can move forward and be happy for generations to come. We can find our prosperity. I will not give up just because of some results on Saturday.
I see. You got to be a lot more diplomatic than I do. I can be cranky about it. That says you still got a job in front of you right here. I get to be the one that gets to be cranky about it. So we got State Senator Blake Miguez in with us, talking about the role here at the Solution Summit. So La Doge. Okay, give me some ideas. Give me what are some of the inklings. I know you haven't even really started yet, but I know you got your mind's going somewhere here.
So La Doge, we're going to use every resource at our fingertips to find efficiencies in state government. It complements my role on the Senate Finance Committee, but La Doge is a little bit different. It's an informal group of legislators and private sector folks who are looking at everything from, state contracts on office space and cable bills and phone service, all the way up to looking at hiring outside professionals that can go in there, like, for example, like a forensic accountant that can go in there and look at the Department of Health or look at the Department of Transportation and everything in between. And there's an online portal as well where citizens can go on there and submit their ideas. Now, we're focused on mainly what goes through the state budget. Now, federal funds flow through. I'm sure a lot of individuals have some great ideas at the local level, but we're focused on those line items, our state general fund, those statutory dedications, as well as the federal funds that flow through. And we're not only trying to save state dollars, but we're also trying to save how we spend those federal dollars, because with the new Trump administration and with the Doge efforts going on with Elon Musk at the federal level, there could be some reduction in spending, which means there could be some reduction in how that money flows to the states. So we have to be prepared. A state that has 50% of its budget federal, that may not flow forever. We need to learn how to live within our means, run this thing like a business, and just use common sense. I mean, why would you want to waste any money, whether it's the taxpayers or your own? Let's just run this thing like a business. And we have a private sector guy who is our czar, who's leading our effort, and we're here to support him. And yes, we're just getting off the ground. Yes, we're just putting this thing together. We're standing it up. But I think when you're going to see us deliver our report towards the end of the year, you're going to start seeing some real results.
If I'm hearing you right, one of the bigger criticisms of Doge so far has been that, Elon Musk is swatting flies with sledgehammers, right? It's been just this full on just blitz of the entire, of all of it, right? Just going department by department and just a deep scrub. I'm hearing from you a little bit more of a surgical approach by taking feedback first.
Yes, we want to take feedback. Look, Elon Musk is doing a great job. Here's the thing about
I'm not knocking.
Here's the thing about cutting government. You can never cut it too far. You can always add it back, right? The problem we've had is growing it out of control.
Yes.
So it's refreshing to hear that our problem is we may be cutting too much, because look, the federal government, $36 trillion of debt. I mean, it's growing out of control. Our great grandchildren are going to be paying on that debt. So I fully support what the president, Elon Musk, is doing. But on the state level, you're right. We have to govern now. We're Republicans, and we plan on governing. And we plan on using this power that the people have entrusted in us to do great things for Louisiana, get us off the bottom of every 50th ranking on every terrible list. And we want to take an approach where we figure out ways to find efficiencies, which means we'll have savings, right? What do you do with those savings? Well, I can tell you, you take those savings and repurpose it to things that matter, like roads and bridges and infrastructure, and getting rid of this personal income tax
Correct.
rate.
Yeah,
Get it down to zero. Look,
well, taking less from taxpayers is the ultimate
let's
goal here.
clear the air for all your listeners.
Yeah.
It is our intent to eliminate the personal income tax in the state of Louisiana. With that, it takes time. Mississippi just voted for it, but it's going to take them 10 to 15 years. We're going to vote. We're going to vote every time we get additional funds. We're going to spend some of that money towards infrastructure, and we're going to spend some of that money towards reducing the personal income tax rate. Right now, it's 3% flat.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a ways to go. That's $3 billion roughly that we have to find. But as we grow it with economic prosperity, like Meta, like Hyundai coming in, and other great announcements in the future, and we get these tax dollars coming in, it's incumbent upon us not to grow social programs and grow government reoccurring expenditures.
All right.
What about our bridge over Baton Rouge? What about I-49 South? What about the Lake Charles Bridge? That's important, but also getting rid of that personal income tax and really unleashing an economy where people can just move here, raise their families here, grow their families here, multi-generational. But it's the first steps that are the most difficult. That's why I'm not giving up after Saturday. I think we got some great work ahead of us, and Louisiana's brightest days are yet ahead.
He is State Senator Blake Miguez. I know you got to get up on stage in 7 minutes from right now.
That's right.
You got some prep to do. I appreciate you hustling in this morning.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. And remember, God bless our great state.
We can take one more break, come back, close it out next.
All right, you clear.
How about it? Oh. How we looking, John?
All right, Brian, you ready?
Yes, I am.
Brian.
8:56 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Last segment here on Mornings with Brian Haldane as we are wrapping up. Well, I'm wrapping up my show, okay? Right after I'm done, Moon Griffon takes the reins, and he is going. I'm looking at his table. It's about 50 feet away from where I'm at right now. He's at the other end of, quote, Media Row. I call it Media Row. There's 3 radio shows set up here today. You got me, you got Jeff Carrere, who normally joins us on a Tuesday, but he was on his way into town to set up and do his show from here. And then you got Moon down there as well, holding it down from 9 to 11. So Moon's going to be off and running at the same time that the whole program is off and running. Once again, just to kind of recap a little bit, it has been phenomenal, some of the information that we've gotten, some of the conversations that we've had this morning. I really, really, really want another go at Blake Miguez because there's never enough time. Once Blake and I start talking, there's never enough time to cover it all. He has got his mind on so many different things for the upcoming legislative session, for his vision for Louisiana and where he wants us headed. He's one example of the number of great conversations we've had this morning. I would take you all the way back up to 6:35 when Melissa Landry sat down here. She is going to be heading up the new Center for Energy policy
2 minutes
within the Center for Energy within the Pelican Institute. She's the new VP of strategy over there. She's going to do a bang up job. I know, like I've known Melissa for a number of years. She's going to absolutely crush that post, and I cannot wait to hear the formal announcement coming up a little bit after noon to kick off the lunch program today. Hey, before we close out, before we hand off to Moon Griffon, want to remind you about the folks over at Cajun Soft Wash. CajunSoftWash.com is the website. I actually had somebody ask me the other day, Brian, how do I know if my roof needs a soft wash? Okay. Take a look at if you've got dormers, if you've got whirlybirds, if you've got exhaust pipe coming out of your roof. Look at the color of your shingles there versus the color of your shingles next to it. If there is a discoloration there, if it's different in one spot than it is another, you want to hit up CajunSoftWash.com and give them a call because you've got stains on your roof that are, well, first of all, they need to be clean. They're ugly, right? They're not appealing to the eye. But beyond that, are they doing damage to your roof? Hit up CajunSoftWash.com. Are they shrinking the lifespan of your roof? If you utilize Cajun Soft Wash, you can help extend the lifespan of your roof by getting a 100% safe and effective soft wash. They're not tramping around on your rooftop. They are not pressure washing it to kill your shingles. They've got you covered at CajunSoftWash.com. That is going to do it for the show today, y'all. I do need to remind you one more time, the Dreams Come True Radiothon is off and running. Love this time of year. Love it through April. We get to team up with the folks over at Dreams Come True to help make a dream come true
15.
for a local child, granting dreams for local children with life-threatening illnesses. We've teamed up with the Baton Rouge Clinic one more time to get this done, and
5.
your donations are being matched throughout the month by the folks at Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, Action Industries, Subaru of Baton Rouge, Service Chevrolet, Luba, and Duplessis Work Builders. Make your donations now at talk1073.com. We're out of here. See you tomorrow. My bad, John. I ran long. I'm sorry. I had to minimize my clock in order to pull up my my list of sponsors. So, you up, man? Yeah, you up.
All right.
All right.
You clear?
Yeah,
Everything's good.
Good job. We're all done.
Cool.
All right, Facebook. We're closing it out. Thanks to Bo Wegman. Bacon Bo right there. Smashing pineapple and bacon. That's a hell of a mix. We'll see y'all tomorrow.